Hey guys, I'm Josh. I'm going to be going through some of the mechanics that the programmers, which are me and Lavinia, have been going through over the past few weeks for our project, Peach Ridge. So on my screen now, I'm going to be going through the player controller first. So every tick, which is every frame update in the game, it checks for the controller mode, and the controller mode is swimming, phone, and disabled. So if the controller mode is set to swimming, then it allows for this forward input, which is W, and that W actually sets the moving flag to true or false on whether or not it's been pressed. W is mainly for debugging right now, because it's just a PC W keyboard based input, but the actual game will be touchscreen based. So over here I've got another blueprint which consists of a button that takes up the left half of the screen here, and when the button is pressed, then it sets the moving flag to true as well, so it does the same thing as the W key. And pretty much what is going on in this whole block of code here is that when they're pressing the forward button, it adds a force to the player in the forward direction of the camera, provided that the player hasn't reached the max velocity, which will probably be tweaked in the future, along with a lot of different variables like the acceleration and the drag. And so this player controller allows for a smooth transition to a maximum speed, and when they are not moving anymore, then it transitions back to the idle stop state of the player. So for the next part, I'm going to go through the camera's touch input. So when the player touches the camera, it sets the camera's yaw, which actually changes the rotation in game. And when the player moves their finger on the screen, it changes the camera's yaw relative to that position on the screen. But that will also be changed to be inverted if the player wishes, so that will be a setting in game eventually. And this will obviously check for if the player is actually in the swimming controller mode before it actually executes. So the next part I'm going to go through is the concepts which I've been looking at for the camera, and the photo taking mechanics specifically. I've got this other add force to make sure that when the player is moving and they change modes, then it constantly decreases to 0, just to make sure that the player isn't constantly moving once they switch modes. So there's always a drag no matter what mode the player is in. So here on the switch part of the controller, it actually changes depending on the controller mode. So I went through swimming before. When it's on phone, it'll enable the phone controls, so you'll disable the forward input and the camera changing direction input as well. So that it will only be focused on the phone, which is in front of the player's screen. And I'm going to be going through that blueprint in a second. Okay, so this blueprint I've got on the screen right now is actually for the bringing up the phone, and this grey box I have in the top right corner will be probably the only UI element that is present in the game. And that'll bring up the phone, which will default to the camera screen. So I've got here on the graph a simple on-clicked event for that button, which is on the screen, and that changes the control mode to phone, so it will disable the moving forward and looking around, like I explained before, and it will instantiate a phone blueprint, which I'm testing out currently, and that will enable an animation to play at the start of that instantiation, which will bring the phone up towards the player's camera and then allow them to use the phone on the screen in front of them. In terms of the camera itself, I'm currently going through a few methods which I could actually implement into the game. I'm thinking of using Scene Capture 2D, which is Unreal's reflection functions. But even though it's reflection, I'm going to try and find a way to use that as a photo taking mechanic. There's also got to be a way to be able to see saved photos as well, so a photo gallery. I may end up implementing a save to phone, so it actually saves to the user's physical phone that they're playing the game on, so that they can see them after they've played the game, and I think that'll be pretty good for like sharing photos online and stuff like that. But there's also the in-game photo gallery, which I also need to work out as well. So those are the mechanics that the programmers are working on at the moment. The play controller is pretty much refined and completed. It will be edited and iterated on further in the project, but at this moment we think it's in a good spot for the player to use just in general gameplay. They'll be able to tweak it in the settings as well, like I said before, with the invert look, but we'll be playing with the drag and acceleration as well to make it feel more like the player is swimming in an ocean. In terms of the camera, it's the main part of the game, so I'm going to be spending a lot of time working on that, and I think that the other mechanics we have planned, so there's going to be the silt kick up, so when they get close to the ground, that it kicks up silt from the ground and allows for a little bit of immersion into the game as well, and just small things like that will be worked on later, but right now the camera is the main priority. So that was it for programming. Thanks for watching my part.